So apparently, what? What? Okay. Apparently, ooh, maybe I shouldn't have just closed the game and left. Oh, never mind. Apparently you need a slime block to get, where did I get this stuff? I played this last week. New episode, new week. But apparently, you need slime balls to frog it up, frog style, to get them to make frog spawn, and then you can bucket your tadpoles, and they grow into frogs and your pet frogs. So this is the problem because I want frogs. I forgot I was in hardcore. I want frogs, but apparently I'm gonna have to like just lead those ones, which shouldn't which shouldn't be impossible. I stopped from it because I heard the music come on because I have the volume turned up for once. I usually play without the volume on and just hope that everything sounds good later when I check the audio. Right now, though, I'm listening to it and hoping that it doesn't reverberate infinitely. So, yeah, anyway, the problem is that I don't have slime balls, and I don't feel like doing the effort that it takes to get them. I know that that sounds stupid, and you're all probably thinking, what do you mean you don't feel like doing the effort it takes to get them? It's slime blocks. It's probably not that hard. And you're absolutely correct. It is extremely easy to get slime blocks. I simply don't want to do it that way. Because what you're supposed to do, well, oh, I forgot I had this buckets. I have 2 buckets. Yes, no, I have 1, but let me, I don't know why or even how I thought this, because my thought was, that's weird. I should have automatically gone backwards, because when I play on controller, you can just push the back button, you go back instead of pass, and I meant to press that and turn around, except for I haven't played on controller in probably a month or 2, so, odd. Anyway, back to the slime thing. You can use a slime block slime chunk finder. It doesn't generate the slime chunk. The slime chunk is already generated. And that will teach that will tell you how to get a slime block. Slime chunk. Slime block you get from slimes, which are in the slime chunk. It's Minecraft, you know, it's a game about building I knew something happened. It's a game about building things out of blocks. So it's like, yeah, okay, it's fine. I can look up a slime chunk. I don't want to. That's a lot of extra effort that I have to put in that I don't really want to put in. And considering that every episode of this series is going to be an episode, yeah, exactly. Nobody wants to just have it cut to be like, I looked up the slime chunk and here's where it is. That's boring. So instead what I've decided to do is using the tools given to me by the game. I am going to just mine into every chunk and make it spawn pieces for slime and hope I get some. And if I don't, then we'll do it again. And this happens until we get frogs. Just infinitely frogs. Once frogs are obtained, I will no longer need to do it. When I get frogs, you know, I should. Nothing's gonna get this. I simply refuse to let it get by us. So here's what we need to do. Number 1, figure out where slimes spawn. Now I know what you're thinking. You should probably look that up. But did I not just state that I was being difficult on purpose? So instead, what I'm going to do, because I'm a genius, if I went to a village, why would I not grab all of their wheat? That doesn't make sense to me. Why would I do this? This was last week. I remember looking at the frogs, going, let me look up how to get frogs. Not going to a village, but I have a whole diamond. So, there was a village at some point in there that I must have gone to, because where else would I have gone? I don't remember mining the diamond. I didn't go mining, did I? My memory's not that bad. It's not good, it's not that bad. Anyway, now on to the real topic of today's episode. You all came here for the great show. Oh my god, it's a great show. It is the Orville. It's about the Orville. And how do I get mangroves? Because does the Wondering what's his name do propagate propagate? I want this to look better. See, I like this like living on the hill kind of. So I need to get let me instead of playing hardcore like all those other hardcore players play hardcore. No. We're doing it the most boring and safe way possible, baby. Let's go. Get ready for 100 episodes of this. That's right. The goal is 100 so that I can actually have a video and name it 100 Days in Hardcore Minecraft. Now, I've decided that I think soon, probably next episode, and by next episode I mean like 10 minutes when, because I'm going to stop recording in like 10 minutes, start recording immediately afterwards. We're gonna build a mine, gonna watch crops grow, maybe. In case anyone is wondering, part of the bit of the watching crops grow for 4 hours was that, like, some people, and these are, like, real complaints that I've seen, or, like, when people talk about, like, other Let's Players, I say this as though I'm part of the Let's Play community, and there is other Let's Players that I communicate with. No. But I say this, other Let's Players, basically, there's this complaint where they go, oh, I'm going to do something off screen because it's boring. And the people are like, well, I would rather you do it on screen so I have proof that you did it. Which is like, okay, sure. Which is why there's going to be several episodes of this that are straight just fishing and commentary. And I've essentially decided that since I can't, like, actually edit video essays, instead of being titled hardcore whatever, those are straight up going to be video essays, but me talking instead of the editing part that I can't do. Because a lot of the video essays are really cool and have some solid ideas that I think should be talked about more, but really they need to, like, jump around because they're editing and stuff like that. And then there's the one guy who did, like, the videos on Mighty Med and Lab Rats, and then he went to, like, their actual filming locations, and, like, some of these people have to have money pre-YouTube, because there's no way on God's green earth, or on just normal green earth if you don't believe in God, that you can just, like, afford to go out and do this stuff for a YouTube video. There's no, straight up, nah. There we go, I was wondering why that wasn't working. Oh no, don't touch my crops. I don't think it actually touched my crops. Cool, where, did I put away my hoe? Can't trust hoes these days. Yeah, that's why this video is not on YouTube, kids. Well, it might be. I have no idea. I always say not for kids because I feel like at some point eventually in the future I'm going to make videos that aren't for kids. And I say that, but, like, I don't mean anything bad. Essentially, I do not want to become a child. I'm not doing this to get seeds. I'm just getting seeds because I'm getting rid of grass. Because grass is ugly. Oh my god, it's so ugly. Look at, oh, it's disgusting. I'm going to go get those flowers over there. I'm going to put them over here, and it's going to look so much better. I'm a design philosopher. I am like the property brothers, except for my brother is not here. He's here in spirit. Hi, Devitt. But, you know, so I'm not like I'm just a single property dude, property guy. Yeah, give me these flowers. We're gonna spruce up the location. I say that was supposed to be a joke, but then I realized it's an oak tree. So, whatever. Is my bed red yet? Oh, you know what? I was about to be like, oh no, I can't, like, dye my bed if it's not red, because I'd have to move it, and then I might lose my spawn. But this is hardcore. There is no spawn. Let's go. Unlike the other hardcore series where I would die, I might have died, and then might have come back. I simply won't be doing that this time. I will actually just be surviving for, hopefully, 100 days. Which is about 100 videos. Which is about all of the RAM? Storage. All of the storage on this device. So, how to fix that problem? No idea. I will figure something out. I will load them all into the Google Cloud. But apparently they're putting limits on that unless you own like a Google Pixel, which I did, so I might still have unlimited because I'm not sure how they run that. So whatever. I had a Google Pixel. It broke like 4 times. So I actually am still oh my goodness gracious. How did I not Oh boy! Next episode, we're going on a mining trip, guys. Everyone get ready. Get out your popcorn. See, because popcorn's for movies. Like, I feel like if you're watching a TV show, you're not really getting popcorn. This is with Stranger Things, because Stranger Things was the length of a movie for no reason. I'm sorry. Stranger Things Season 4 was great. For all of it except the last episode, where they dropped the ball so hard by making it 2 hours and 40 minutes. 30 minutes. That is the length of a movie. I expect to see movie quality writing. And not just like, oh, the things are stranger. Like, how do I explain this? Essentially, without spoiling the finale, there are certain parts where I feel like characters should be doing things, and no, that doesn't make sense. Okay, so Stranger Things has this plot structure that it goes by most of the time in the whole show. And that plot structure is this. You have the kids doing their own thing. And the kids are usually Mike, Dustin, Lucas, and 11. And then season 2 you add Max, and season 2 you add Max and Will, and you get like other characters as well too. No, you don't. Not really. I mean, Steve. That's what I'm thinking of. Then you have the teenagers, and that's Nancy and Jonathan. Personally, I think Nancy and Jonathan are always the least interesting. Like, no disrespect on Nancy, she's a great character, actually, which is why I'm saying, like, I totally will disrespect Jonathan. He's, oh, thank God, I'm such a smart, intelligent person. Jonathan is one of the worst characters ever put to television, and I hate him so much. I hate him. And I know that, like, people are like, well, why do you hate Jonathan? Because he sucks! He sucks! I know that they apparently, like, edited out of Jonathan, like, taking the half-naked pictures of Nancy, but straight up, people keep calling Steve a douchebag because of the things that he does in Season 1, but, like, the only douchey thing Steve does in all of Season 1, essentially, is the, like, when he gets somewhat reasonably mad at Nancy, and then immediately feels bad for it. Like, here's the thing. Young relationships are stupid. Young people are stupid. I say this as a young person, knowing full well that I'm admitting not stupid in everything, but stupid relationship-wise. Young people don't know how to build relationships. Steve had a relationship with Nancy, a girl that he really liked, and he found out that this guy was creeping, like literally creeping on them, and taking pictures of her half naked, at what Steve and Nancy probably thought was an intimate moment. Steve then tries to go to comfort his girlfriend after this, because, yeah, and some people were like, oh, he just wanted to sleep with her at that point, and blah, blah, blah. But, like, if you pay attention to Steve in the show, he was probably just actually going to help her study, or comfort her about Barb, or whatever it was that was going on, I don't remember the exact details, and not going to sleep with her, because that's not the type of character that he was up until that point. Only to find her in bed with the guy who was creeping on her, and him too. That's like an invasion of privacy. Do I think he overreacted? Yes, because he's a normal child. Steve is the only character in the entirety of Stranger Things that acts like a normal human being, and he gets, like, hated on for it. And it's not even, like, the correct hate, if that makes sense. Because people, oh, Steve was a douche, but he became the best character. He was never a douche. The only character in most of Season 1, outside of, like, you know, the scientists experimenting on a small child, who's a bad person at any point, essentially, is Jonathan. Who, again, takes pictures of Nancy in an intimate moment where he's not supposed to. It's just like, don't blame Steve for being reasonably angry at this. I don't think he should have let the spray paint happen. But remember, if you watch the show, unless this part is going to get edited too, Steve didn't write the words. His friends did, and Steve is, when we see him, before Nancy shows up, I'm doing hands, saying, guys, stop doing this. I'm mad, but do not do this stuff to Nancy. He's openly saying this when she's not even there. He doesn't, okay, here's the thing. I'm going to say he doesn't need to, but, like, if the argument is that Steve is a douchebag, then he wouldn't be doing that. Steve is not a bad person at any point in the entirety of Stranger Things. Unlike Jonathan, who is and sucks and should die because he's a horrible character and I hate him. Not a horrible character. Well, I don't think Jonathan does much for the overall plot of the show. In general, I don't really like him. But anyway, that's my side tangent about stop saying Steve was a douchebag. He was never a douchebag. He was a cool guy in high school. And a lot of the people who are watching Stranger Things now for 80s nostalgia, who aren't like modern day people like me, who was born before the 80s, or born way after, significantly after the 80s, so far after the 80s, and yet it still only feels like 20 years ago. Steve was that character that those people were probably the type of person, not Steve himself, but the type of person who bullied these people for liking things like D&D or Star Wars and stuff like that. And then it's just like they project onto Steve all of this negativity that does not belong to Steve because Steve has done nothing wrong ever in the show. That's not true. Again, Steve is a flawed, normal person, and I personally think Steve is the only normal person in the whole show so far. Oh, like, the whole time. I think Nancy starts out as a very normal human person, and there is such a thing. I don't know if there is such a thing as like going through an intense situation with someone, and then kind of being like, "Yeah, I am closer to you now." And that's what happens between Nancy and Jonathan, and it's not like there's nothing wrong with that, at least in my opinion, of Nancy just being like, "Yeah, he did some." Jonathan, I don't know how to explain this well, because I'm not a YouTube explainer. Jonathan sucks, and I hate him. But also, I understand where Nancy's coming from, because Jonathan now has the only evidence of Nancy's friend going missing. So, to Nancy, even though Jonathan did the bad thing of taking a picture when she didn't want him to or know that he was there, he still did a good thing overall by finding out what happened to Barb, which is what Nancy's main concern is at this point in the show. Which is like a real human thing. And then as she talks to Jonathan, it's kind of like she kind of gets this view of, yeah, this guy's not a bad person. He's kind of going through a bad situation. He made some mistakes, but I can accept your mistakes and we can move past that. And that's fine. That's a fine thing to do if you want to forgive someone in your life and say, yeah, some people don't feel that way about people in their life and and that's fine too. You know, it's up to you. So my point is essentially this. Steve is the only normal person in Stranger Things who reacts like a what on God's okay. Who acts like a relatively normal human for the large majority of the show when reacting to things. Whereas everybody else in the show seemingly acts like a caricature or the, in quotes, perfect version of the character type they're trying to play. Because there are Stranger Things, what's really interesting about what's really interesting about Stranger Things to me is that all of these characters are kind of meant to be parodies and archetypes of things in the genre of horror and just 80s in general. So like Eleven's whole storyline is essentially meant to mimic a superhero storyline. And the kids are meant to mimic something like the Goonies, and you have like Nancy and Jonathan who are meant to mimic things like the stereotypical 80s horror movie. I don't know if Scream came out in the 80s, but I know it's a parody of those types of movies as well as like the whole point of Scream. That like Scream itself is a parody, and it has just become like one of the best, seen as, phrasing is hard. It's become seen as one of the best. Anyway, that's my whole tangent about, it's not my whole tangent about Stranger Things. I'm probably just repeating myself at this point. Okay. So what's very interesting to me is that the creators of the show chose to take one character who would have been perfect to fit into this archetype of complete douchebag, doesn't like talk to anybody, disrespects his girlfriend, stuff like that, that happens in a lot of these 80s movies, and just replace him with a real, well-developed character who goes through a real emotional arc, unlike a lot of the other characters. Someone else, please, like, try and tell me that Lucas or Dustin or Jonathan, even outside of, like, they miss their brother, even Hopper, like, try and tell me they go through a fully developed reactionary arc to the main plot outside of, like, these things are happening and they're strange. Steve does, and he keeps doing it throughout the show, I think, until season 3-ish. Season 3 is a bit odd, and then season 4 you kind of go back to the status quo, if that makes sense. Season 3 is a bit odd, simply because in season 1 you have the split groups, and same thing with season 2 and season 3. However, season 3 split groups are not split for the same reasons as season 1 and 2. In season 1, nobody knows that everybody's working towards the same goal. So I didn't mention the adults, but you have the adults, the kids, and the teenagers. The teenagers are just Nancy and Jonathan, with Steve kind of acting as like a quote-unquote human antagonist, but he never really antagonizes them. He antagonizes Jonathan, but it's for very valid reasons that I've already stated. But it's like a commonly agreed upon in the Stranger Things community thing that, like, Jonathan is or that Steve is like the human antagonist there. I don't see it. I think that's a stretch, but what can you do? Season 2 and 1, the groups kind of don't know they're working towards the same thing. So in season 1, no spoilers, but the three groups are completely separate in season 1. They never interact, they never have a chance to interact. Season 2, the second somebody finds out that there's something wrong, they try and get in contact with the other groups. However, the other groups are independently looking at things that they don't know are related to the things that, like, are related. So the kids in season 2 kind of not know what's going on, but they're, like, aware that, oh my god, this is the similar to what happened last time. Meanwhile, the adults are off doing their own thing and are unsure as to how this is related. However, they think that it has something to do with, like they're just kind of, like, trying to help the town and make sure the kids are safe. Really, like, that's honestly it. And then the teenagers are trying to look. No, that's season 3, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Shoot, what are they doing in season? Oh, you know what? The teenagers in season 2 are being weird, and I kind of dislike the storyline that they go through in season 2, because it's interesting and it's good. It's a good idea. It's not good execution, and I can't really tell you what they're doing. But they are not connected to the main plot at all. However, it's because of this that the adults and the teenagers are off doing their own thing, that when one of the kids realizes something is up, all three groups can't get connected until later. However, they get the second that somebody else shows up and is, like, capable of being connected, they get connected. So it's fine. Season 3, though, they just don't communicate with each other ever at all, and it's just odd. Why are you doing this? Communicate. It's very important for you to communicate, and especially in situations that you've been in before. So, I don't know. Anyway, season 4 started off really good with the things that I very much wanted to happen, which was that, like I said, season 2 really doesn't have the groups contact each other, for some reason that I still don't understand, and I really think they should have contacted each other faster. Season 1, the second something goes off, the groups form, and they are all ready to do whatever, and it's good and it's great. How do you make a fence? I'm an artist. Oh! It's nighttime. Alright, anyway, I don't even know if that makes sense, but good day to you, sir.